to the People Pleasers. I'm so excited to have my guest here, Linda Ockwell-Jenner. Welcome, Linda.
Hi, Amy. It's lovely to see you.
Um,
I admire you from afar. You've got a beautiful voice. So thank you for inviting me.
Oh, I'm so excited to have this conversation. To the listeners who've been listening to Power to the People Pleasers, I reached out to Linda because I found her in our community where I live, and I was just so inspired by all of the things that she has been through and that she's done for our community and for the people around us. And I was like, this is a person I really want to chat with. So I'm so glad, Linda, that you said that. Yes, thank you. So let's jump in. So today, Linda is really a cool woman here, a survivor, multiple survivor of cancer. My goodness, I'm sure there's lots you can share about that. You are the president of Motivational Steps as a professional speaker, speaking to so many companies. I know there are lots of things that you can share about that. And the co founder of the Small Business Community Network in our community of Kitchener Waterloo in Ontario. Linda, today we are talking about people pleasing, and we're going to dive into are you being too kind? But first, as I always do in the podcast, I'd love to know, have you ever been a people pleaser in your life, and how did that show up?
Oh my goodness, this is so funny. I was a people pleaser right up until COVID.
Mhm.
When COVID got to me, so I had anxiety, I had a psychotherapist, and he was astonished. He was astonished how big a people pleaser I was.
Wow.
I think my people pleasing stemmed from having low self confidence. I didn't want to be popular. I just wanted to please people. And at school, I had two friends who, in later life, I realised were bullies. But I did everything to please them. Apart from they wanted me to smoke cigarettes and kiss boys, and I wouldn't do that, Amy. No way. No.
No way. Oh my goodness. So there's some interesting layers there. People pleasing and it turns out they were bullies. That's interesting.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
that COVID had something to do with you shifting. Can you tell me a little bit more how that played out?
I can, yeah, I can. Basically, I was a mum to four children in England, so I hung out with a lot of mums. You do that when you've got four children. And this sounds awful, Amy, but women don't seem to like me. I don't know what it is. Maybe because I'm quiet. I am quiet and shy. You won't believe that. So I
Oh,
used to have to go and help out at daycare sometimes. It was like a play school, not a real daycare. I always felt the odd one out. So we always said, I'll make the coffee. I'll clean up the mess. I'll do this. I'll do that. As time went on, we came to Canada. We emigrated to Canada. I went through a divorce, worked three awful low paid jobs,
mm,
and basically, the manager of the shoe store who hired me knew I had no experience. So he took me on. I really needed the job. And so it was kind of the younger people who worked there were all within the family of the organization. So, in order to not get fired and keep my job, I would please them by putting all the shoes away when they were chatting
mm,
overnight and that kind of thing. Going quickly on to when I started my business, I was completely new to the business world, so I didn't have anybody to please. I didn't know anyone.
yeah.
And then basically, you would probably know this, Amy, because you are successful in your own right. Women in particular, I'm sorry, women, not all of you.
A
Women in
lot of listeners are
particular
women.
seem, but I mean, we all say this to each other. Why do we fear other women? Why do we never feel comfortable in a crowd of women? Why do we feel that we're the odd one out? So I was fine until I started getting a bit successful. And one really sad event for me was going to a big event at Bingaman's, and there was a lot of women there I knew. And I wanted to sit at the one table with some women I knew, and they said the space was taken. And I just wanted to get on my knees and beg them if I could sit there because I wanted to please them and let them know. Um, I turned it round, Amy. I turned it round once I was really establishing business. Let's imagine you're at a networking event and I know everybody, and then you walk in and nobody knows you. What I tend to do is say, Hi, Amy, would you like to join our group? Can I introduce you? So I'm not really pleasing you for my own, what would you say, integrity, or because I
Mhm.
want you to like me. I've been in that position where nobody would talk to me. So I'm pleasing you and the group of people in another way by making good connections.
Mm.
COVID really turned it around though, because I was brought up to, when we had guests in the house, sit quietly, don't interrupt, be
Mhm.
polite. I think my mum had some mental health challenges, and so for some reason we argued a lot. So I would try and please her more. My sister was very quiet. Um, my marriage was good. I didn't have to please my husband. We had a good relationship. But once I got established in business, really and truly, I found that a lot of people, men and women in this case, would, want to get to know me because they wanted me to do something for them.
Mhm.
And I would bend over backwards. I really would. One incident is when a young lady said to me, well, you're so good at this, that, and the other. You can do all that for me. And I said, I can't because I've got two businesses to run. And basically, she shouted at me, and I was kind of embarrassed. So coming up to COVID, when I got anxiety, my psychotherapist was shocked at the way people had treated me. And I've been told in early life, if someone is mean to you, don't be mean back. Just be pleasant and see how you can help them. So in my mind, that is please them. And he said, no, if people are treating you badly and saying things about you that are not true, or treating you in a really nasty way, you have to either back off completely and put the boundaries up, or say something to them that it's not appropriate. I lost a lot of connections. I have a small circle of friends. I didn't lose those because they know me. And I haven't lost any business clients, because the reason I'm successful is because I'm transparent and honest. And to be honest, the people who've walked away from me because I say no, I don't really need them in my life, Amy. And I know that sounds bitchy, but I am not a
No.
bitch. I am lovely.
You are lovely. And I'm sitting over here for those people listening, just shaking my head at all of this that you've been through because my goodness, the women that didn't let you sit at the table, I'm like, what? Are we still in this petty environment where we don't welcome people in? So, um, thank you, thank you for sharing.
I,
And
I just find men are more open to offering opportunities. To me, in particular, I seem to understand men a lot better. And I'm saying that I have a very big connection of lovely women, and we
Mhm.
work together. We like each other. I think some people, some humans don't take the time to get to know you, and then they make these, what would it say, ideas up about who you are.
Mm.
You think you're too good for other people. You're this, that, and the other. And in business, it's difficult, Amy, to upset people, isn't it? It's difficult not to upset them. And
Yeah.
so, right up until when was COVID, Amy? Was it
2020.
2021? 2020, yeah. So
Mhm.
it was the very last year, basically. I got my psychotherapist, and I've even put boundaries up with family members. Does that sound nasty? Because
No, it's
family members can,
amazing.
yeah.
That's amazing.
But the thing is, Amy, we've got to think about our mental health.
Mhm.
So I was very nervous. I was very distracted. All my life, I just wanted to please people. My auntie Amy, who died when she was 94, she
Mm.
was lovely. She said, even as a child, I wanted to please everybody. So that's quite sad, isn't it? And now, Amy, I don't want to please you. I don't want to
Mhm.
make you feel that, you know, I should do something for you, or I should, say things that are not true, because that's not my integrity. That's not who I am. And even my husband, I love him to bits, I really do, but he goes, "Whoa, you've changed a lot lately."
I love this,
Yeah.
Linda, and you're bringing up a really great point that I'd love to dig into a little bit in this, the theme here today is, "Are you being too kind?" I would love to know what it was or what happened with the psychotherapist in that experience that you were able to have such a dramatic shift from being a child and a young woman and a business owner and all of these things of pleasing people for your whole life. And then obviously it wasn't a snap. It wasn't just like that. But what were some of the things that
It was gradual. Well, I guess I felt lonely. I felt during COVID, even though I was surrounded by family and friends and I was still working, I felt lonely.
Mm,
And I felt that basically, where were those people that I was trying to please all my life when I was here? and I would reach out, and it was too busy, haven't got time, just going out. Um, I don't know. I just felt that when I was being kind to people, or thought I was being kind to people, maybe those people were not the right people to have in my life.
Mhm.
Now, there are some exceptions. I mean, when I say I put boundaries up with family members, there are some exceptions. There is always reasons why um, you don't have to please people. You have to be kind to them and consider why are they reacting or acting in a certain way. And in
Mhm.
those cases, Amy, that's where kindness, compassion, and empathy comes into it. And
Yes.
you can't be cruel to people. You just have to
Mhm.
say, you know what? They probably have a really good reason for the way, but I think when it's business, um, even regarding interviews like this, Amy,
Mhm.
in the early days, I was begging for them. I was, writing to everybody. We didn't have social media. I would send email, please, 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 please. Obviously, I
Mhm.
wanted to please everybody. And
Mhm.
luckily, I got the right people. But I have to say no to people now if they want interviews or they want me to speak for free.
Mhm.
I started off with my professional speaking career doing everything for free. And I still give back to organisations, charities, not for profits, who I feel really cannot afford my fee. And then I
Yeah.
have a lesser fee where I give less. I'm not mean, but again, that's the kind of boundaries where you say, well, should I be kind to everybody? Should I please everybody? Because thinking about it, Amy, when I look back to the all the freebies I did in my early days, some large, some small organisations, didn't really get a lot of referrals from the free because they didn't respect it. They didn't think
Yeah.
I was worthy.
They didn't value it
So
as much as if they had paid, for sure.
So
Absolutely.
is that being kind? Did I stop pleasing people? I don't think I was unkind. I just started to think about my own business and how I also needed to pay the bills.
Yeah, I think there's an interesting, way that we're going down this conversation here, in that the parallel between being kind and our business, that you're bringing up a really good point. The boundaries, in order to be a good business person, you can still be a kind human, but saying yes all the time is not a beneficial activity for a business owner, right? And even a regular human who isn't a business owner, right? Having these boundaries, saying, I have to take time to make this decision. It may be a no this time because of
Hmm.
some things in my life, and knowing you don't have to give the answer. You don't have to tell people the whole reason. It is okay to say no. One of the things that I talked with one of my clients about, that I love when she said, is she said, Amy, after our conversation, I realized that no, and then zipping it, is a completely fine answer. And you don't have to
Yeah.
give all of those things. And that doesn't mean you're being unkind, right? It's shifting this dialogue in our head, that saying no doesn't mean you're being unkind. It means that you are respecting your own boundaries. And if you say it politely, obviously our tone of
Hmm.
voice matters, our body language, all those things, right?
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
different, like,
I,
no is different
I,
than no.
you're making me feel better. Have a really another good one. Before COVID, I used to use the local Williams and meet people for a free complimentary hours mentoring because Amy, it's not all about money to me. I do want to give back.
Yeah.
And one person in particular came along. So etiquette says in my world, if I'm there first, I buy the coffee. If they're there first, they
Mm.
offer. That's polite in my mind. So this
Mhm.
person was eating and drinking, didn't offer, and said, "Can we cut to the chase? I don't want any of your normal blah 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 blah. I just want to know A, B, and C." So the A, B, and C was literally, "I need to make money this time. How many connections can you connect me to? And then what's the ongoing hell?"
Wow.
And
Wow.
this was before COVID, and I'm going, "Whew, stay calm. I was all hot and bothered. Whew, I'll go and get myself a coffee and think about it. And I get back and I said, oh, no problem at all. So I gave this person some nitty gritty, you know. What I wanted to say is, I don't care if you've got a lawyer. I don't care if you've got money in the bank. I don't care if you've got all of this. You will not be successful because I'm not going to say the word. I'm not a very nice person, and people will grasp that. But anyhow, the conversation finished. I didn't get a thank you email. I didn't get a thank you phone call. I got nothing. 6 months later, I'm walking around a networking event on the evening, and this person runs up and says, "Linda, Linda, things haven't worked out quite as fast as I wanted. Can we have another session?" And I said, "I will email you." Oops, I forgot.
Yeah, well, you know what? I feel like if you had said yes in that moment, that it would be exactly what we're talking today about is, are you being too kind? Are you just allowing people to walk all over you essentially, right? And I know that that has been a challenge for me, even in my people pleasing journey, of saying yes, even though in my head, in my physical body, it is screaming, say no, say no.
No.
Say no. So I'm glad you didn't say yes right in that moment. And there's a lesson there for people of like professional etiquette, being overly assertive, right? And know your audience is what I would also say. If the person sitting across from you is not like screaming assertive, let's get to the point, like know your audience, right?
It was fun. The other thing is,
Wow.
say yes to every client. I'm not doing them or myself a favor because let's admit it, Amy, as I've already pointed out, we don't get on with everybody in business, but it doesn't mean we can't help them. So I
Yeah.
can always point a client into the direction of you or someone else I know has a really, really good track record and credibility. I dislike it when people say, I'm asking for a referral. It could be, I go to a shoe store, they haven't got my shoes. Do you know if any of your other stores have them? And they go, no, we don't know. They're not pleasing me as a customer. They're not making that phone call. So I'm
Mm.
sure you're in the same boat, Amy. We've had to say to clients, this is not a fit, but we can refer you to someone who will work better with you. And
Absolutely.
that's difficult, isn't it, in business because we don't want to turn clients away. But the thing is, some clients, when you know immediately you're going to be saying yes, yes, yes all the time, and you're not really helping them, you're just doing what they want. So why are they paying us?
Mhm. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and that's an interesting point too. Being mindful of, you know, just doing what the other person wants. What we're, I think, talking about the most here today is really knowing yourself well and knowing what feels good to help out, if it feels aligned to help someone, if it feels like this person's overstepping, being clear with what you
Mhm.
are willing to accept and how people treat us, right? This idea of, are you being too kind? Are you always saying yes, sure, I'll do this for you? That's, maybe over the top. It might be causing more stress, overwhelm, anxiety. It might be layering onto your plate, way
I
too
think
many
my
things.
and sorry, Amy, I think my anxiety just built up over many years because I've had a lot of stress in my life. And I'd never put boundaries up before. So
Mm,
when, my psychotherapist explained how to do it step by step and not
mm,
do it all in one go. And to be honest, my husband was joking when he said, "Whoa," he loves the more confident me. Um, Basically, whether it's family, friends, or business people, I have had no negative reaction
mm,
from, I'd say, 99% of them. Obviously, the phone calls and the calls for, "Can you help me, Linda? Can you do this for me?" They've stopped now because people think I'm mean, but I don't really care because 99% of people know I'm not mean. So if I would suggest if you're going to set boundaries, start slowly and be very careful how you do it so that you're not offending somebody, you're not hurting the feelings. And I didn't have to explain to any family members what I was doing and why I was doing it. In
mm,
fact, I felt that they respected my choices.
mm. That's really good to hear that they respected your choices. And I would also layer on to um, the coaching that I give to my clients when we're creating boundaries is slightly different from what you just said in the, being careful, being, try not to hurt their feelings. My approach is, be mindful of how you would want to be treated in this situation. Be mindful of the
Yeah.
language, right? So we can't control how the other person's going to feel or what they're going to think. And we actually have no idea what they're going to feel or think, right? We're just assuming that we're assuming, well, they'll be so mad at me if I say no. They'll hate me forever if I say I can't do it right now or whatever. We're making the story up in our head, right? So it's being mindful of, okay, if someone was to say no to me about this, how would I want to be communicated with? And
Mhm.
choosing words that are kind and clear, right? Sometimes that's the biggest challenge is getting clear on what what are you willing to say yes to or no to, and actually saying that. That's usually where I'm coaching my clients, is to tighten up the sentence that they're going to say to the person about the boundary. Oh, well, I can't really do it. Well, why are we saying the word really? If you're not going to do it, then say, no, that's
Yeah.
not going to work. Be very, very clear in those boundaries with a kind, compassionate heart, right?
I
Hmm.
don't actually coach per se,
Hmm.
business consultant on top of the speaking.
Yeah.
So I don't actually do this with my clients per se because I think you're more qualified than I am to do that. As I say, mine is just a really personal business and family
Hmm.
and friend kind of being able to say no and be kind. My psychotherapist helped me a lot. He gave me some tools to take with me. And
Hmm.
basically, it's all about how we feel about ourselves. Are we worthy? And I
Yeah.
don't really like the word worthy because everybody's using it today. So I'll change that over. Do we love ourselves? Do we like ourselves? Do we
Yes.
believe in ourselves? And I say that to myself every day because having anxiety is nasty. It is a
Yeah.
mental health. That's another thing. I just want to make clear that there's nobody should ever be embarrassed or worried
Mm.
to admit they have a mental health challenge because it's part of our overall body, mind, and spirit. And if we don't look after, you know, our bodies, if we don't look after our life in
Yeah.
particular, how can we work or how can we, have a family life? So I'm not afraid to say,
Love
mental health
that.
challenges or, and, maybe I should start telling this story a bit more now. You've kind of prompted me, but at the moment, I don't think I'm going to go there. I don't want to upset anybody else. Have you ever had to say no to somebody who wanted to come on your podcast? They invited
Yes.
themselves.
Yes, for
How did
sure.
that go?
Well,
How
this
did
is
that go?
I mean, it went fine. As you know, I always have a quick conversation with my podcast guests before I get on to a recording, because I don't want to be in a position of being in a recording and feeling like we have absolutely nothing to talk about. And there was one particular individual so far who, uh, I went into a state of people pleasing in that they had reached out and I was, I could figure out a way, and in my head I was going, well, no, I think I could play this angle and there might be some valuable content. But in the end, actually, my gut instincts were saying, like,
Yeah.
this isn't a good fit. And I reached out and said, unfortunately, this is not a good fit for the show. I wish you the best. And they were fine with it. So I
Oh,
think
that's
they
good.
also felt that it was a stretch for us to have that conversation as well. Um,
Yeah.
but I do hope that you continue sharing this message. As the co-owner of the Small Business Community Network, you have the beautiful ability to, uh, what's the right word, influence other business owners to realize that in creating boundaries, look at the beautiful confidence that you have. Like, it is so incredible and so empowering and inspiring that you are living your own truth. And that's what I think, one of the gifts that you can pass forward is in your work
Oh,
as the network, to encourage other business owners that it's okay that we say no, right? That is okay. And the
I'm
right
very,
client
very,
will find us.
I'm very careful though, Amy, because I wear two hats as motivational steps and the SD,
Mhm.
two different entities. So I guess when I'm hosting with my husband and business partner, I tend not to offer that kind of advice unless I'm asked for it. Now,
Mm.
any other, we'll sit down and we'll chat, whether it's during a mentoring session or at one of the events, you know. But, you know, some people will get offended if you offer that kind of, you know, people do often say to me, even at those events, "You're so put together, you're so confident, you're so this." And that's when I'll say, "Well, I've worked a long time, many years to get to this point, Amy."
Amazing.
I still, when I get on the podium, I'm still nervous, and I'll tell anybody this basically. If you're not nervous, you've become complacent and you think you're always doing it right, and you're never going to grow and get better.
Mm.
So don't get confused with boundaries and thinking you're the best all the time and not
Mhm.
keep on, you know, trying to get better and better because we're always learning, aren't we, and getting better at what we do.
For sure. People that I would say the exact same thing. I still get nervous as well.
That's good.
100%. Oh, yes, yes. I have some big events coming up, and I'm like, "Ooh, there are some nerves."
I know.
So, Linda,
Oh,
how
adorable.
can people how can people connect with you? What are the best ways that you would invite people to connect with you and continue the conversation about perhaps speaking or networking?
I'm going to be really mean here because I say this to everybody. I've got an excellent brand. People can find me anywhere. So unless they want to go to my website, which is on your screen, just Google Linda Ockwell-Jenner, Linda
Yes.
OJ, Motivational Steps. I'm on Pinterest. I'm on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter. I've got a really good presence. And so, again, this is another tip, you know, please yourself by saying,
Mm,
I don't need to go on all those things to build a good brand. I just need to know that people remember who I am. And
mm.
I'm very lucky people remember me, Amy, because I'm a bit dipsy. I'm blonde.
Oh, sheesh. You are wonderful, and it's not
Thank you. Thank you.
Dipsy, hardly, hardly. Brilliant. So, Linda, it was an absolute pleasure speaking with you today, and thank you. I thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you, Amy.
And to all of our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in once again to Power to the People Pleasers. Stay tuned for our next episode coming soon. Have a great day.